Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Mark Clemens Postcards. Ellie and Lucy say hi, the postcard pups, and we just want to show you some cool postcards we got in. I bought these about a week ago, and I almost forgot to do a video to show them to you. I've already listed some of them, a lot of them, as a matter of fact, and they are beginning to sell. So before I get too far behind, I want to show these to you. So let's get to it. Here is the first one. Look at this. This is a beautiful linen card. This is the Rexall store in Monticello, Indiana. Any kind of cool storefront I like, especially in real photos. But this linen is very nice, clean, and colorful. Look at that. You can see some of the merchandise in the window and the signage there. Drugs safe with safety. Sodas says there on the awning. And some other signs there for drugs. That is a pretty cool looking card right there. Next we have an advertising card for the Highway Truck Equipment Company. They sell trailers built to order at a savings. And there you can see a couple big trucks. This one up here hauling a bulldozer on a trailer. And down below we've got a I don't know if that's an old machine, like a drag line or what you would call a excavator today, I guess. But here's the fellows who can sell them to you. There's John and Philip Beckholt, probably brothers. Maybe their father started the business, or maybe they did. But this is a cool real photo postcard with some neat trucks on it and some old equipment. And just a very nice piece of advertising. Next we have a neat one. This is Bill McGowan's School for Umpires in Daytona Beach, Florida. Bill McGowan was a National League Baseball umpire, and here he has a school for teaching other umpires to come along and do the job. Down here it says Donatelli instructing. So I'm going to assume there was an umpire. I don't remember his first name. His last name was Donatelli, and I assume this is him here. And he also works as an instructor at the school. So a neat baseball-related card. This also is a real photo. Next, we have a nice street scene in Benson, Arizona. And it says the Horseshoe Cafe, and you can see the sign for the Horseshoe Cafe right here. Along with some other things, there's some old vehicles on the street, an old truck. Here is a store of some kind over here. It looks like it says repair or fair, I'm not sure. Down here we have a motel, there's a sign for that. And further down is a Texaco sign, there's a gas station down there. So, nice real photo street view. Here's a neat one. This is the end of the line. If you heard this is the end of the line, well, here's where the end of the line is. This is in Florissant, Missouri. And you can see it is the end of the trolley line. And a lady in a large hat looks like she's getting off the trolley there. And there is probably the conductor over here, or the motorman, and another gentleman standing there. It's a really nice old real photo card with trolley related. A lot of these cards are trolley related. Here's a view in Harrisville, West Virginia, a view on Main Street. And you can see some stores, buildings on each side. There's an old car there. This looks like maybe a movie marquee here off to the far right. Can't quite see it. And it looks like maybe if I magnified this, I can't do this with this particular program. Looks like a Gulf oil or gas sign up here. So I'm guessing there's a gas station up there. Nice real photo. Here is a really nice card. This is the famous coffee pot in Bedford, Pennsylvania, that is on the Lincoln Highway. This is a much sought after card, and there are several different versions of it. This is one of the more common ones, if you will, but still pretty highly sought after by Lincoln Highway collectors. I do have this card in my collection. I think we looked at it recently in a video where I was looking at my Lincoln Highway collection. But anyway, this is the coffee pot on the Lincoln Highway. Here you see gas pumps, and they sell Atlantic gasoline, and some old cars parked there. It looks like probably 1920s era activity going on. So a very, very cool card. Here is a view in Mars, Pennsylvania. Now, that's not on another planet. That is in Pennsylvania. The town is called Mars, and this is Grand Avenue. And you can see this is a really old, real photo. The town still had a dirt street, as many did back in the early 1900s. And here you could see a horse pulling a carriage or wagon over here to the far left. Here are some stores, and you can see their post office for Mars right there. This looks like a, I can't quite read that here, some kind of a store here on the right with the young man leaning against the building, and some people further down. So just a very cool early town view in Mars, Pennsylvania. Next, we have a trolley, another trolley-related car. This is the first streetcar in Ebensburg, PA, May 29th, 1912. So the first time that a car ran in Ebensburg, and you can see some people out to take a look at that. That was a special event back in the early 1900s. And some people come out to look at it. See a lot of kids in the crowd there. And this child over here, he's not a ghost. He just probably was moving too much when the picture was taken. In those days, you kind of had to stay pretty still for the picture, or you could get some blurred action, like this child here. So another neat card there. Here's a nice one. This is Euler's Bakery in Sewickley, Pennsylvania. And this card kind of has a double topics, I guess. It would be a fantastic card for a collector of Sewickley, Pennsylvania, or that area, as this is a really cool, real photo interior view of the bakery. But it was also an advertising card, and on the back was some language talking about the Burns and Kiefer Company, who designed and built this equipment and furnished it to the bakery. So a card with double interest there, the town or area of interest, and also for advertising. Next up, we have a view of the store and the residence of A.E. Kassler in Holsapple, Pennsylvania. Holsapple is kind of in the Johnstown, north of Johnstown. And this is obviously the residence over here. And this gentleman, A.E. Kassler, also owned a store next door. And I can't tell from the picture what he sold. Don't see any signs, and I can't see in the windows to see what he sold. But obviously, he was an entrepreneur in Holsapple back in the day. So a nice real photo town view. Here's another town view. This one, I'm sorry I don't have my cards in front of me here. I don't remember what town this is. I think it was in West Virginia. I'm not positive. But anyway, what caught my eye here was the building in the center at the bottom where it says liver and feed stable and undertaking. So if anyone died in this little town, I guess they'd end up over here at this building with the undertaker. So we have some businesses and we have some residential houses back there. And I'm sure this town looks nothing like this today. Here's another nice Lincoln Highway card. This is Ferguson's. They had a gas station and some tourist cabins, so you could stay in the cabins overnight, like the early versions of motels. And you could gas up and service your car. Here you see the sign for Atlantic white flash. Got the pumps out front. This is on Route 30, Lincoln Highway in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. And this is pretty nearby to me, and I can tell you that this building still exists. It is a residence now. People live in this, the house. People live in here, and the gas pumps are long gone, and so are the cabins. So, driving by, it's just another home along the road. You wouldn't notice that, or at one time, it was a thriving business. This is also a pretty desirable card if you collect Lincoln Highway. Next up, another trolley-related card. And again, let me think here. I don't have these cards in front of me, and I don't remember what town this was in. But regardless, it is a nice street view with a trolley right in the center of it. Some people getting on or off the trolley here as it stops in the middle of the street. You can see some horse-drawn carriages back there. So a real nice, real photo town view of early 1900s. Here is a more industrial view. This is the Jamison Mine number 7 in Barrackville, West Virginia. A really nice view on this card. And I did a little bit of research on this mine. I know there was a disaster there back in, I forget the year, the early 1900s, where about 34 miners were trapped in this mine. I don't know if that became the end of this mine or not. I didn't do any further research on it. But this is a real interesting card of early industry and mining in Barrackville, West Virginia. Another West Virginia card. This is in Grafton, West Virginia. It says the first car out. So similar to a card we looked at a little bit ago, this is the first car out of the barn, so to speak, in Grafton, West Virginia. This was on January 30th, 1908. And you can see some people came out to take in the event. It was history in the making, and they wanted to be there to see it. So there they are. Really cool railway-related card and small town as well. Another view in West Virginia. This is in, well, I don't know where it is. It says first trolley car to Farmington, West Virginia. So this could be in Farmington. Perhaps they have arrived, or possibly this is where they started from, or this is somewhere along the way. I'm not sure. But again, neat railway car. You can see 2 trolley cars back to back there, and a group of people. Don't know if these people probably just out to see this, because this was the first time this has ever happened. Some of them, no doubt, are riders, but probably most of them just spectators. But a nice old railway card. Another railway, trolley-related card. This one is in Hillsboro, Ohio. This, again, is the first traction car. So a lot of firsts here, with trolley cars being something new back in that day. This was July 27th of 1907. And as always, there's just people out to take a look at this this new method of transportation that was being initiated here. You see lots of people on the trolley, and not as many spectators here, but a few watching. A nice real photo. This is a scene in Wellsburg, West Virginia. This is on the Wellsburg-Bethany railway line. This is the first car through the tunnel. Here you can see the tunnel back here. And this is the first trolley car to come through the tunnel bunch of people on the trolley, a bunch of people standing by. Some of these gentlemen look like they're workers. They have shovels in their hands. I'm not sure why. Perhaps they were clearing the tracks there or something. I'm not sure. But that is another very neat view. Same railway line, the Wellsburg-Bethany Railway Company line. Here we see two trolleys. Actually, no, there's three. 1, 2, 3. This is number 3 that we just saw in this picture. You can see it was trolley number 3. This one is again in the front. It says first car leaving Wellsburg, June 7th of 1908. And then there's two more, the second and third cars right behind, ready to go on a brand new method of transportation back in the early 1900s. This, of course, this is a real photo view. Another view, Wellsburg-Bethany Railway Company. This is the trolley crossing the Ghost Hollow Viaduct. So, obviously, with trolley lines, you have valleys and things that need to be traversed, and so they would build these bridges, often called viaducts. They don't carry water, but they still use the name viaduct, and to get over what looks like here, a little bit of a depression, a hollow, or a valley there. Nice real photo view again. Another real photo view on the Wellsburg-Bethany Railway Company line. Here you see the trolley, and they appear to be stopped on the Bethany Viaduct. So that's another bridge that you would encounter on your travels from Wellsburg to Bethany. And there's some gentlemen even got out of the car standing on the tracks there to pose for the picture, I suppose. Another one, same railway line, Wellsburg-Bethany line. This is the Campbell Viaduct. So we've had 3 in a row here. Bridges to get up across low spots in the train. See, not as many people, just a couple on the trolley on this particular route. And this is trolley number 2. I didn't notice on the last one. That's number 3. We've seen number 3 before. Here's number 2. Oh, this one, next card, is the same thing. It's just another copy of the one we just looked at on the Campbell Viaduct. Not sure how that copy got in there. Here's the Wellsburg-Bethany Railway line again, and the car is in what they're calling the Bethany Narrows. So you can see there is a dirt road that runs alongside the trolley tracks. So you have the potential here for the trolley and the horse and buggies and even vehicles. Another copy of that same card, slightly different angle, but same people there. You can see same general pose. Here is number 2 trolley of the Wellsburg-Bethany line coming out of the tunnel. It says car at tunnel, obviously. So we saw number 3, the first car to go through the tunnel. This is number 2. Again, we're at it says Rock Tunnel. At Rock Tunnel, I assume that is the same tunnel that we have here. You can see a curve in the tracks. So as you come out, the line curves around this way. So there is the trolley coming through the tunnel. Perhaps it's not the same tunnel. I don't know. It just says Rock Tunnel. Looks like there's some spare pieces of rail laying over here. So another nice real photo. Here is a multi-view of the Wellsburg to Bethany trolley line. And if you look closely, you can see many of the cards we just looked at. And there's a few views in here that I didn't see on postcards, but a lot of these did appear on the postcards we've looked at. But this has, let's see, 16 different views. They're small. You probably would do well to use a magnifying glass to really get a good look at them, but a neat card there. And here is the same views, but this is a printed card rather than a real photo. This one is a real photo view. This one's a printed view, and you can see they've labeled each one so you could know what you were looking at. First car leaving the tunnel, first car through the tunnel, the bridge, rock tunnel, at the switch, race to Bethany, scene at Bethany Park, the Narrows, on the Narrows, Ghost Hollow, Viaduct, Bethany Viaduct, and a street in Bethany, and another street scene, and a couple at Bethany College. So a lot to take in on that card. Here's another multi-view. This has these scenes may be on the other one, or they might be different. I didn't take the time to look. But here we have a car at the tunnel. Here's the Campbell Viaduct. Here's a car coming out of the tunnel. And here is the Bethany Viaduct over here. This also is a printed card. Back to real photos. This just says Bethany Park, and so I would assume it is these tracks going through here are on the Wellsburg-Bethany Railway line, and you also see a bridge here with tracks going above. So one of these, I would guess this is the trolley line, and this is probably a railroad line up above here. And no trolleys or trains, unfortunately, just the tracks to see on that one. Here is the trolley again from Wellsburg coming down the road. I think this is the same road we saw before. It says on the Narrows, West Virginia. And the train's coming along. This is a dirt road, so we also have wagon and vehicle traffic there. Same view as this one, only on a printed card. There you can see it says the Wellsboro and Bethany and, well, WB and W, so I'm not sure what that means. It's Wellsboro and Bethany. I'm not sure what the other W is for. The electric line along the Narrows between Wellsburg and Bethany College. Here is the same trolley or trolley line crossing the Bethany Viaduct. That one's pretty high there. And you can see there's a little dirt road here that passes underneath that. That's a cool real photo. This is very similar to this one, but it is a different scene. This is seen near Barrickville again. We saw a view in Barrickville earlier with that Jamison mine. This is the trolley, and it says near Barrickville, Ice's Run. So I would guess Ice's Run is what the bridge here was built to cross, and that is what the trolley is doing. So another nice real photo. Here is a printed card, but still with trolleys. This is the Grafton Traction Company in Grafton, West Virginia. You can see the trolley coming along. This looks like a really long elevated track here. But nice card nonetheless. Here is another real photo. This one doesn't have much identification. Note on the back of the card says Wheeling on the left side. So I'm assuming that meant Wheeling, West Virginia. So this is a stop somewhere along the line where you would get on or off the trolley, and then you can see there's a little hut there, you could wait, keep you out of inclement weather while you were waiting. And then there are stairs going up here to the right, and you can barely see some look like houses here to the right. So this is a trolley stop somewhere along the line. Here is another scene in Barrickville, West Virginia. It says Main Street. You can see the trolley, number 62, is coming down the tracks. and the rest of the street is dirt, very much like most little towns back in that day. We didn't have a whole lot of paved roads yet at that time, so often you just had dirt or sometimes gravel or even brick streets. Here's a scene in Fairmont, West Virginia. It says Fairmont Clarksburg Traction Company Barn. So this is where the trolleys are kept. And you can see these ones getting ready to come out and get into action. Nice real photo there in Fairmont, West Virginia. Another look at Fairmont and Clarksburg Traction Company trolleys. Here you can see two of them back to back. Perhaps these are linked, I don't know, with one trolley pulling the others, or they're just parked close together. I'm not sure about that one. But another nice real photo. Here are some people in, I think this was Osage, West Virginia. It said the, what was that, first car of the Morgantown and, I'm sorry, it's eluding my mind. And there was a name of the trolley line, but it was the first car out and going to Osage, West Virginia. And like some of the other ones we looked at, that first car, the first run of the trolley line was always an event for the locals. And there people have come out to get their picture taken with it. Pretty cool card, especially if you lived in this little town. Here is another view of the Jamison Mine. We saw a card from there earlier. This is just a scene from some of the buildings. This one doesn't quite include as much, but you can see there's activity going on. There's smoke coming from the buildings, and it was, at the time of this picture, a busy, active mine. A little bit of damage up here in the top right corner, but fortunately it doesn't interfere with the picture itself at all. So that's kind of cosmetic. A nice industrial type scene. Here's a view in Factoryville, Pennsylvania. And I believe, despite at first glance, you wouldn't think this is a real photo, but it is. And here you have the sign says A.A. Drake Garage, and obviously they are towing in a vehicle for some service. It doesn't have any wheels on the back, so I don't know if it needs new tires or needs some other kind of service, but that's very cool with the old tow truck or wrecking truck there with a vehicle on the back. So even back in those days, stuff happened, especially back in those days, probably. Vehicles weren't nearly as reliable as they are today. But this is a very cool scene here in Factoryville, Pennsylvania. Here's a nice one. This is the G. Garbarino and Company store in East Washington, New York. At least that's what the photographer on the back, his studio was based in East Washington, New York. So we will have to assume this was a local picture. I could be wrong. This could be a different town. I tried researching it, but that's the best I could come up with. And you can see that in this store, they sold cigars and other tobacco products. And they also sold Moxie, which you can see up here on the sign. Two big mentions of Moxie on there. So I know there are Moxie collectors. This would be a nice one for them, as well as cigar and tobacco store collectors, or this town, if we could verify that that's East Washington, New York. Another trolley. This one's in Newtown, Pennsylvania. A view on Washington Avenue, and there you can see trolley number 5 is stopped there. Again, looks like dirt streets. And there's a sign for Bell Telephone over here to the far right. But a nice town view. Here's a scene in Charlestown, Indiana. This is the terminal of the Louisiana and Northern Railway and Lighting Company. So here is their barn, trolley barn, where they keep the trolley in the evening at night. And here is the trolley out on the tracks. And you can see some of the stops here: Louisville, Jeffersonville, Watson Junction, Charlestown. So this is a nice printed card. Here's a view in Kenosha, Wisconsin at the C&M Electric Station. I probably looked that up, don't remember what C&M stands for. But a nice view of the train station there, and there's the trolley. This station probably serve, well, I say that, but I don't know for sure. I would guess it would serve trolleys and regular railroad, but maybe not. Not sure about that. A nice colorful card. Here's a view in Reelton, Pennsylvania. This is the residence of C.E. Parr. So he's got himself a nice little fenced-in yard. Doesn't have a lot of grass he has to take care of by the look of it. And he's right up bang against the trolley line here. And on the other side of his house, there's a road. So he's kind of in the middle of it all. Looks like also a road in the front of his house. So he's kind of boxed in there. And here's the trolley coming down the tracks, or perhaps it stopped here. A nice printed card. Another view in Reelton. This is, well, we looked at C.E. Parr's residence. Here's his store, the general store of Charles E. Parr and Company in Reelton. You can see some people out on the front porch there. Looks like some hats actually hanging in the window. It's a general store, so he's probably got just about everything in there. And it looks like the post office is right next door. And he probably managed that as well. It's attached to his building. Wasn't uncommon for stores and post offices to be combined into the same building. Again, nice printed card. Another printed card. This is the tipple of Westmoreland Coal Company in Reelton, Pennsylvania. So a nice mining and industry related card. Here is a view in Sutersville, Pennsylvania. This is the First National Bank. You can see here on the left, post office and drugstore of J.D. Shaner. And like I said, it wasn't unusual for post offices and stores to be in the same building. Here we have a bank, a post office, and a drugstore. That, too, is a printed card. Another printed card. This is Berrien Springs, Michigan, the Interurban Station. And you can see that building back here and a couple trolleys here. Some of the towns that they service here are hard to read. Niles, Berrien Springs, St. Joseph, South Benson, that look like says there. So interesting printed card there. Here's a scene in Unity, Pennsylvania. This is Main Street. So as we're looking straight up Main Street, again, appears to be a dirt street. We have a railroad crossing right here. You can see the sign for that. So you got to be careful when you're coming across here in your horse and wagon, or even walking. You want to make sure you look both ways. It says stop, look, and listen. Yes. You shouldn't have any trouble hearing that train coming. If you were deaf, you probably would feel the ground shaking. So really no excuse to get hit by a train, I don't think. Although it has happened. You can see a couple horse and buggies in the scene here. And there's appears to be a store. Looks like it says Crema, not familiar with it, cigars. So got a little store here on the left. Pretty nice small town view. Another view in Unity, just a general view. You can see some of the houses there. Nice printed card. Still in Unity, this is the coal works at the Plum Creek Mine, in operation since 1872. So a nice mining an industrial card. This one is a real photo, and this is pretty cool here. This is, well, I titled this Cool Cards, and so when I say every card is cool, that's why I say it. This is in Fairchild, Wisconsin. It just says street scene, but we can kind of figure out for ourselves what's going on. Way down here on the left, I see a sign for Ford, so I'm guessing there's a Ford dealership down there. Over here on this building, it says Dolly Madison Selected Ice Cream. I got a little silhouette on it. Remember Dolly Madison Ice Cream. The building looks like a windmill. It's got windmill blades up here on the roof. And over here we have a truck that says Bert's Bread. And it looks like somebody delivering bread to the ice cream stop. So lots of things going on there. It's a nice real photo card. Small town. Another real photo. This one's in Maryland, Western Port, Maryland. This is Main Street. And you can see the trolley there coming up the street. Here's a horse-drawn wagon, buggy over here, carriage, and a few people out on the street. Looks like a narrow street. Got telephone poles down both sides of the street, wires going every direction. So it looks like a small town, but a busy small town. This building here on the right looks like it says bank. I can see bank. Citizens National Bank, I think that says. And here's a sign for a dentist. So lots and lots to see in that real photo view. Here's a printed view. This is the Globe Laundry Company in Lincoln, Nebraska. Nice, colorful card. And these, this is interesting here. We have delivery trucks that say Lincoln Cleaning. 3 of those parked outside. And you also have horse-drawn wagons. So this was right at a time when things were being changed over from horse-drawn to motorized. And this particular company has some of each there. So that's an interesting snapshot in time there. Here is this is a real photo view. This says Indian Crafts Onondaga Indian Reservation in Nedrow, New York. And we have a little roadside type stand here. There's a gentleman, looks like he's sitting in there. He's got his Indian crafts on display here, as well as some nice signage. He's got a Pepsi sign and a couple 7-Up signs, Mason's Root Beer. On the side here, I see Squirt and looks like another 7-Up and something I can't read. So a real interesting photo. Indian reservation, an Indian gentleman selling his crafts. And he's got, I guess he serves these things, these drinks if you want to drink, and along with his crafts. So that's a really interesting roadside real photo card. Another real photo, nice view in Plainfield, Connecticut. This is the railroad depot serving both trains and trolleys. As you can see, got one coming in on each side. Trolley here on the left, train on the right, and this is under power. You can see the steam coming out of there. It's perhaps pulling out of the station after stopping there. Lots to see on that. A really nice photographer did a nice job of posing this photograph. Here's a scene in Worcester, New York. This is the milk plant, Eastern Farm Products Incorporated, where they process milk. There you can see a tanker truck, some of the workers standing out front. So a nice industry related real photo postcard. Another real photo, small town, Harmony, Pennsylvania, not far from me, where I'm located in Greensburg, PA. Can see some old vehicles. That looks like 30s era going on here. We've got a sign for Gulf Gas here off to the left, and see some pumps. There's a Coca-Cola sign, a restaurant sign, Iron City Beer. I see that down there. So a lot to see on this busy street scene. And we at least have advanced to where the street looks to be paved. So we've moved on a little bit in time, and we have an improved road system here. Nice real photo card. Another real photo. This is the Iron Bridge, a trolley crossing Iron Bridge near Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania. Again, not far from me. You can say, boy, you seem to be like you're not far from everywhere. Well, that's true. We are not far from a lot of things. But I don't know exactly where this bridge crossed. I do know it's not in existence today. But this is a really cool view of the trolley going over railroad tracks. If you look closely, you can see an impressed inscription here of the photographer, and I can't quite make out the name at this angle, but I do see where it says Mount Pleasant, PA. Nice real photo. This is a printed card, again in Mount Pleasant, but here we have some of those trolleys, like the one we just saw. This car looks a little bit different. Don't know if it's one of the, maybe this car or that one down there. I don't know if the car in the other view is one of these or not, but this is a printed view on Main Street. This is the streetcar junction, and you can see it's a junction all right there. It's pretty jammed up with at least 3 cars that I can see there. Nice printed card. Here is a real photo. This is Deerfield's Pharmacy in Deerfield, Illinois. It says the only corner drugstore between Chicago and Milwaukee on Waukegan Road. And boy, there's a lot of signage to see there. I see Royal Crown Cola and Coca-Cola and Delicatessen, ice cream, soda, sundae, drugs, Rexall drugs, Coca-Cola fountain service, Lucius Erskine Realtor. And there's a stoplight there on the corner, and a lady and a gentleman standing there at the door. So pretty cool real photo in Deerfield, Illinois. Here is a real photo postcard in Corrigan, Texas. This is the grade school here in the back, and here we see a school bus pulling out. It looks like it has kids in it, so perhaps this is the end of the day and classes are out for the day and school bus is taking the children home. Here is a scene on the William Penn Highway. This is actually near Delmont, Pennsylvania, and this is Colonial Park. This was a former roadside stop here. You could stop to get something to eat, and of course gas pumps, and a popular spot back in the day. This was in the 20s here. This is a white border card, 20s and 30s. This was a hot spot. This building is here today, but it's closed down. There's no activity there now. A nice printed view. Here is a real photo, and where is this? I see the Citizens Bank there on the corner. It's got an inscription for the photographer, it says Mayberry, and over here is a store. Again, I don't have these in front of me, and the information for this would have been on the back if there was, so I can't tell you where this is, but this nonetheless, nice real photo card. Here's one. I can tell you where this one is because it says on the front. This is in Denison, Texas, and we are looking east on Main Street, and it's a busy day there in Denison. Lots to see, tons of cars along both sides of the street. Here comes a trolley down the middle, and lots of readable signs there. So a nice real photo, cool card in Denison, Texas. Here's some buses. This is an advertising type card for General Motors coaches. These are diesel buses. It says 27 diesels are at work and 20 more are on order for the Southern Colorado Power Company in Pueblo, Colorado. Replaced, now see, this is another transition period, like when we transitioned from horse-drawn to motorized vehicle. Here we are transitioning from streetcars to buses. It says, replaced streetcars with GM diesel coaches and more will be added as needed, I'm sure. But a really cool lineup of old buses. And it is a real photo postcard. Here's another one for General Motors coach buses. Here we have the Cleveland Transit Company. Cleveland Transit has 200 GM diesels purchased on 6 repeat orders. 50 were recently delivered to this progressive company. It's thrifty to modernize. So again, transitioning, making that transition from horse-drawn to motorized, from trolleys to buses. And again, nice, very nice, real photo card and advertising. Here's some more advertising. This is actually advertising for the truck, but the truck has signage for Red Rock Cola, so it's sort of advertising two things. It's advertising Red Rock Cola and also the company that makes these trucks. I believe this is a white, made by the White Company. This is model 3014, and the place here is at the Red Rock Company in Atlanta, Georgia. So we have dual advertising for the maker of the truck and for the product that the truck is carrying. Here is a view in, where is this? Albany, I believe. This is in Albany, New York. This is, yes, E.W. Howe Company. This is one of their trucks. It's a 4-ton standard chassis, and this truck is made by the Peerless Company. It says this Peerless truck has been hauling tonnage equal to that formerly handled by 4 two-horse teams at less than one-half the cost. It makes few trips that do not include heavy grades. So you can also see here that the gear and chain drives that this particular vehicle is using, rather than a conventional for today drive shaft that goes from the transmission to the rear axle. Here we have a chain and gear mechanism that was, I don't know, somehow linked to the engine. I'm sure maybe a drive shaft of some kind, but this is unusual to see this chain and cog. But anyway, I'm not sure what's on the truck. Could be coal, could be gravel, not really sure, but a very neat picture of the truck going up the street there, and a nice advertising for both the E.W. Howe Company that's featured on here and for Peerless Trucks. Another one with a delivery truck. This is Mountain Meadow Creameries, and it says truck leaving Jacumba plant of Mountain Meadow Creamery for fast run to the San Diego plant. So we know this is in California, and this is the Jacumba plant. Here we have a driver ready to go, getting his paperwork, and you can, it's not really an advertisement for the maker of the truck in this case, but it is an advertisement for the Mountain Meadow Creamery. Another truck. This is the delivery truck for Patrick Transfer and Storage. So this is kind of what we call a moving van or a moving truck. This one is based in Houston, Texas. Now, I don't know if that's where the company Patrick Transfer was based, or that was just one of their locations. I'm not sure, but a very nice view of an old delivery type truck. And I believe this, yeah, it's a linen card. So, but still, nice advertising. Another advertising for a truck. This is the Caniff Oil Company. They have delivered Texaco oil. It says filtered and probably metered, I would guess. I don't know. And but I do believe also on the back there is information about this particular truck. So it's a dual advertising for the oil company and for the maker of the truck, and it is a real photo card. Here is another similar card, a truck that is advertising for the company that uses the truck, and also on the back is information about the maker. This one's for the Mistel Coal Company, and I'm not sure where they're located, but you can see their signage all over the side of the truck, and then on the back is some information about the truck itself and who manufactures that one. Here's a cool one. This is Coca-Cola in bottles. This is a bottler semi-trailer body truck made by Weldmec. And so again, we have advertising for the maker of the truck, and we can also see the Coca-Cola clearly on the back and on the door of the truck and up here on this sign. And so dual advertising. It is I believe this is a whiteboard card and a very nice example of advertising. Here's a real photo card, again with delivery trucks. This is a multi-view. These are Olson curbside delivery vans, and you can see a variety of things going here. We have Golden Crust Bakery delivering there. We have Wallach Laundry. We have Wise Potato Chips, and what's that one say? Saks Fifth Avenue down there. So a nice selection of trucks. They're showing you the different kind of vans, very similar, but look very different depending on the usage they're made for. And so again, this is primarily advertising for the maker of the trucks, but in a way, some of these businesses on here are also getting a little bit of advertising from being featured on here. This is a real photo postcard. Another advertising. This is, truck says, Fink's Dairy in Temple, Pennsylvania, pasteurized milk, tuberculin tested. And this truck was made by Beals Auto Body Works in Reading, Pennsylvania, a continuous line of quality coach builders since 1820. So again, that dual advertising for the business on the truck and for the maker of the truck. This is I think a whiteboard. It's a little hard to tell. Here is a linen card, and this is a beautiful one. This is standard red crown. Look at that sign on top of that building. That's huge. And here you have the building, a very attractive building for a gas station. And here's your pumps out front. Cars are parked around. And it says the Standard Oil Company, Indiana electric sign, Skinker and Clayton Road, St. Louis, Missouri. So that is a fine example of a service station and some beautiful signage on there. I really like that card. I think that's going to have to stay in my gas station collection. I bought these cards to sell, but that's a tempting one there. Here's a view in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This is the Chrysler Pittsburgh Company on Baum Boulevard. They sell Chrysler Plymouth vehicles, and they have used cars on the second floor. And I would be interested in how they get them up to the second floor. Perhaps there's an elevator, in the building, or maybe there's around back, there's a ramp or something to get up there. I don't know. That's interesting. But you can see some vehicles if you look through the windows, big display type windows, you can see vehicles in there. So a very neat automobile dealership advertising card, a printed card, real photo card. This is the H.G. Wonderland Company in Decatur, Illinois, and they are says Studebaker Sales and Service. So a dealer for Studebaker. And you can see over here up top, there's a view of the building, or perhaps they have more than one building. Let's see, what am I looking at? Now, this view up top is looking at this building down at lower from on this side, and then here's some of the other sides of the building. So that's an interesting card and the way that is put together there. And as I said, that is a real photo postcard. Again, automobile advertising. Oh, here's a cool bus. This is the, well, again, we have that dual advertising. The Hicks all-steel arch-built school buses, the choice of America's schools. And this is distributed by Patches Bus and Transportation Company, Newman, California. So two different companies advertising on here. One makes the buses and one sells or distributes the buses. And a cool old bus, looks kind of like, I think, like a 30s era bus. So nice advertising. Here's another auto dealer. This is the Baldwin Motor Company. They are a Ford agency in Clinton, South Carolina. And there you can see new vehicles there in the showroom, looking through the glass. There's also a sign for Frigidaire above the door. So, what does that mean? They sell Fords and they also sell refrigerators? I don't know. I guess that doesn't seem related to me, but I guess it's possible if Ford and Frigidaire are related, I guess. Is that true? Is Frigidaire a part of Ford Motor Company, or is Ford part of Frigidaire? I don't know. What's that relationship? If anybody knows, give me a note in the comments. But again, an automobile dealership, nice linen era card, nice for automobiles and advertising both. Another nice linen card. This is Ingram Motor Sales in Camden, New Jersey, and we can see here by the sign up here, they sell and service Oldsmobiles. And here we have a car in for some service. It's up on the rack. And they have little stations here where you do various things to service your car. And we have a serviceman working on the car. It's nice. Again, linen card, automobile, and advertising. We are back to a real photo here. This says, first service to, looks like Laurel Bank from Youngwood on December 24th. That's Christmas Eve, 1905. And here we can see on the trolley, it says Greensburg. So Armburst. I'm familiar with Armburst, just a few minutes away from here. And Greensburg, where I'm at. This is a very interesting card to me. I love it. It's an interesting kind of border around the picture, but a very nice real photo. And it's an oldie, 1905. And trolleys. Here's another view, again in Armburst, Pennsylvania, which is a town the size of a postage stamp. This is J.L. Armburst, pianos, organs, sewing machines repaired promptly, and piano tuning. And there's your buildings there. This building, I don't know if this exists. This could be what is now the post office. That building looks similar to that, but I don't know for sure if that's this building or if these buildings even exist anymore. But a very, very cool card, and I would say very hard to find because Armburst is so small. There just wasn't a whole lot of things there to make postcards of. So I find this one very interesting. Here is a service station. This is in, I believe, Latrobe, Pennsylvania. This is Carl's Atomic Service. So there we see the sign for Esso Gas. Got some pumps out there. There's a tow truck to the right, and some more pumps there to the left. And I'm not sure. It says Carl's Dairy Store, I think, over here. So Carl's busy servicing, pumping gas and serving vehicles, and also selling some ice cream, possibly. But a very neat real photo view. Here we go. This is a busy scene. This is Woodland Crest on Route 422 near Katanning, PA. Your early roadside stop. We got gas pumps out there. We got several different brands of gas, as you can see from the signs. Atlantic White, Flash, Sunoco, and Esso over here. Also, there's a Coca-Cola sign, couple cars, and just a busy scene. Nice real photo, early roadside view. Here is a view. Again, it is a real photo. This is in Hecla, Pennsylvania, which is today known as technically Southwest PA, but it was another small mining town just a few minutes from where I'm located here, and a very small town. But here we see kind of a busy spot there. It says Mike Caputa Confectionery, selling Hagen ice cream. We've got a Coca-Cola sign up there, and we have a trolley stop here. So this was a stop along the line, and we see 3 different trolleys here coming from different directions. And that is truly a hard to find small town view. Another view at the same, close to that in Hecla. And again, we see these trolleys. I don't know if any of these buildings still exist. I think this school-looking building in the back is still there. Not sure. But again, these would be rare, hard-to-find postcards because Hecla is a very, very small town. A hair larger than Armburst, but not by much. Here is a view in Hecla, and Hecla would be what we would consider a patch town. It was a little patch of houses that would go up, and that was nearby an operating mine, and the people who worked in the mines would live close by for convenience, and these little towns grew out of that. So here you see some of the even company houses, they would be called, that were built and provided by the mining company for the people who worked in the mines, and they were often identical. As you can see, this row of houses is the same houses over here. Not much variance in those, but that is a real photo view. Another one in Hecla, different angle, and you can see some of the houses over here to the right, and part of the mine here in the back where all the smoke and dust is going on makes it hard to see. But we've got a little pond here, and the mining activity back there, and there's some of the houses. Another nice, very small town, real photo view. Coming out of Hecla now, we're going to go to Halifax. This is in Pennsylvania. It says Tropical Treat, home of good soft ice cream. You can see the very big ice cream sign up on the roof. It says Tropical Treat. And there's one. I'm sure everybody has seen one of these. Remember these when you were a kid, these roadside ice cream stands, and always tempting to stop there and get some ice cream on a summer day. This is a printed card. I think we already saw that one. I think that might be a duplicate. Here is a view in Export, Pennsylvania. This is Export Lumber Company. And look at that. That is a cool view with the blue sky Everything else is black and white. Here we have a truck in the foreground loaded with some lumber that's no doubt going to be delivered somewhere. Here we have a horse-drawn wagon also loaded with lumber to be delivered. So we're in that transition period again from horse-drawn to motorized, and they're doing both. And here's the big sign on the building, Export Lumber. It says Lehigh Portland Cement Products there. So a nice business advertising card, and this is a small town. And then I kind of like how they threw in the blue sky there to set off everything else. Very nice. Here is another roadside gas station. This is the Minot Vulcanizing Company, Minot, North Dakota. And here you see lots of gas pumps, sign for pure gasoline. Can't quite make out that. I guess that's just an extension of this. There's service bays and that over there. So a nice roadside card. Lots of signs and things to see in that. This is a real photo. I think I said that. Here's a car dealership. This is Valley Auto Sales in Wilcox, Arizona. They sell Chevrolet and Oldsmobile and also service same. So here is their main building. There's a showroom, and here's some service bays, and they got some gas pumps out front, and a big sign for Texaco. So a nice advertising and auto dealership postcard, real photo. Here is a view in Franklin, Pennsylvania. This is the Franklin H&H service station. You can see that older style building there. You got the portico over the pump so you can pump gas out of the rain, and several vehicles there, and some people walking by. A really nice old real photo view. Here is a scene on the Lincoln Highway. This one's a little bleached out. I think it says Lincoln. I'm sorry, I can't read it. I know it's near Ligonier, Pennsylvania. And again, just a little roadside stop. Got Sunoco gas. Stop, gas up, get a drink, something to eat, no doubt. And that is on the Lincoln Highway. Here's another view on the Lincoln Highway. I managed to pick up several Lincoln Highway cards. This is Minnick's Place at the east end of the 7 Mile Stretch. The 7 Mile Stretch is a straight section on the Lincoln Highway, still exists today, where you can see straight ahead for 7 miles. And this is towards the end before you drop down over the mountain there and near Grandview Point. And here we have Minnick's Place, tourist camp and cabins, U.S. Route 30, which is Lincoln Highway. Here you got your gas pumps, Sinclair Oil, rooms. They have rooms to rent. Oops, sorry. And the Tidal gas and oil. And as I said, there's some old vehicles parked there. Nice Lincoln Highway view. An outstanding Lincoln Highway view, and very, very hard to come by. I've been looking for this card for over 20 years and finally managed to get a copy of it. This is Grandview Park on top of the Allegheny Mountains. This is what preceded the Grandview Hotel and the Grandview Ship Hotel. This was owned by the gentleman who built all of those things. And originally there was just a little road, a little stand up here, just a little building near the top of the mountain where they sold refreshments and things. And Captain Paulson bought this when it was just a little shack, and then he expanded it. This, I believe, is after he bought it and expanded it. Now there's several buildings and flags, and he's advertising for the view that's right down over the hill. And he decided when the property was available to buy the property and actually move his business down to the side of the mountain where the best view was, to really take advantage of that. And that's where he ultimately built the Ship Hotel. So this was the earliest incarnation of Grandview Point, and you can see it's just very busy. Got people, trucks, and cars there, and people out front, and all kind of stuff going on. A fantastic Lincoln Highway card, and very difficult to find. Happy to have that. That one's definitely staying in my collection. Another Lincoln Highway card. This is Kiefer's Restaurant in Fort Loudon, PA. Here we see lots of signs: hot plate lunch, chicken, waffle, steak, restrooms, Old Reading beer, mobile gas, beer, Old Reading again, Esso. Just your typical roadside stop back in those days. And a nice real photo view on the Lincoln Highway. Another Lincoln Highway. This one's in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. This is the new Lincoln Highway garage and restaurant. I have a different view of this, but this is the better one. You can see a lot more of it. See the gas pumps lined out up front. Sign for Goodyear tires. A Sunoco sign. That one's pretty washed out. And I think one of these buildings is still there today. I would have to, haven't been up that way for a while. I'd have to drive by and see. But a very cool card again on the Lincoln Highway, and it is a real photo. This is the Orchard White House restaurant. This one is, I want to say this is also near Fort Loudon. I don't know if the information was on the back. I don't have that here. But a pretty popular roadside stop along the Lincoln Highway. Here is the Lincoln Service Station and Cottages at Reels Corner. Not much at Reels Corner. It was a four-way intersection with like a gas station on each corner. And that was about it. But back here in under the trees, you can see these little cottages, and then out front your gas pumps and the main building there. And again, a nice, hard to find Lincoln Highway real photo. Another view on the Lincoln Highway. This is the Lincoln Park, 11 miles west of Bedford on the Lincoln Highway. There you can see the building, gas pumps out front, Atlantic White Flash Gas, and some gentlemen there on the porch on some rocking chairs, just relaxing. And I see some wording on the windows. They had a dining room there, so you could eat there as well. Here is another truck advertising card, similar to the one we looked at before. These are, again, I believe, the Olson curbside delivery trucks. And this one happens to be a real photo, multi-view. And here you see Peerless Laundry, American Institute Laundry, a Coca-Cola truck, and Fisher Flowers. So we have advertising for Olson curbside vans and a little bit of advertising for the businesses that own them. Another view on the Lincoln Highway. This is Longview Lodge. Looks like 3 miles west of McConnellsburg on the top of Scrub Ridge. Another popular roadside stop. Lots of gas pumps out front. Lots to choose from there. And also dining facilities inside. Minnick's Place again. We just looked at a card of Minnick's Place, but I think the first building we looked at had burned down and they rebuilt. This is a bigger building than they had originally. This is the top of Bald Knob Mountain, west of Shelvesburg, just very close to where the Ship Hotel was located, and a popular stop. They had a restaurant here as well as gas pumps, as always. You can see lots of cars parked outside. Some Tidal signs there. Also on the Lincoln Highway, but closer to Ligonier, this is the Mountain Inn. And this building here, I think you'll see in the next one, yes, you'll see it has been expanded. Here is the original part of the building here with these dormers here up on the third floor. And it says Mountain Inn in front. and then they expanded it a little bit. As you can see, this is the building we were just looking at, and then to the left is a large addition where they have expanded the building. And again, you could eat here, and they also had gas pumps. The gas pumps were closer to the road. This sat back from the road a little bit. The gas pumps are closer to the road, and they don't appear in this particular photo. But there are different versions of this roadside stop, and it's different iterations, whether it's before it was expanded and as it grew, and then looking at it from different angles. Still on the Lincoln Highway, this is Russ's Place, the top of Tulls Hill, west of Bedford. And there's your gas station, again, gas pumps, and you can go in and get something to eat there too. Nice Lincoln Highway card. Still on the Lincoln Highway, this is Bud Myers, and this is the top of Sidling Hill, east of Breezewood. They had cottages and camping, and of course gasoline and food. So souvenirs and pennants. I bet they had postcards in there too. They probably had postcards of the Lincoln Highway, and if I had been alive back in this day and was smart, I would have scarfed those up and put them aside for today. A nice, very nice Lincoln Highway real photo. And we're getting near the end here. This is the Lincoln Lunch. It's a good place to eat in McConnellsburg, PA. They have, here's a gas pump over here. They almost always have gas at these places, as well as food. And so you can satisfy two needs at once. This one's a little, I haven't seen this card very often, a little bit, I would say hard to find. Here is Jenner Pines in Jennerstown. We just saw a card from Jennerstown. This is a different one. This is the restaurant and gas station at Jenner Pines. Jenner Pines was a little camping ground. They had little cottages you could stay in. It's very hard to see, but over on the far left, you might see right here, directly under this Tidal sign, is a stone pillar. And then to the left of that is a second stone pillar, and a little road went between those pillars back to where the little cottages were that you could stay. The only remainder of this today is those two stone pillars still exist. They're in somebody's yard at this point, but they are still intact, and it's about the only relic left of Jenner Pines. I think this next card is the last one. This is the Queen's Inn on the Lincoln Highway in Langhorne. It says 4 miles north of Langhorne, Pennsylvania. I believe that Langhorne is out towards Allentown, Philadelphia, out in that general area. And here we can see, as always, the gas pumps, got your cars, Amoco gas, and no doubt a place to eat there. They might have even had rooms to stay in, not sure about that one. So that was a 119 very cool cards that I managed to acquire last week, and I really wanted to see them. I've started listing them and selling them, so they'll be popping up in my What Sold, hopefully. So thank you very much for watching this, and we will see you next time.